Hey folks, Pat here from DNS. This Madison area fishing report is current as of August 5th. Before we get started, just wanted to let everybody know about a cool event going on this Sunday, August 7th, up at Lake Wisconsin. It's a event being held by the Badger Childhood Cancer Network. It's their Fishing for Families Bass Classic. It's being held up there at Remy's Thirsty Moose in Poynette. It's a super cool event. This group helps families that are struggling with a child with cancer, which obviously is a horrible situation to be in. So it's a great group that does great work helping people out. Anyway, they got the event coming up this Sunday. It's a bass tournament. You can enter up to 5 boats per team, and check-in is early in the morning there. They got stuff going on in the afternoon, a barbecue. The weigh-in's at 2 p.m. It's always a cool thing to check that out. And then awards ceremony and raffle at 4 p.m. So we donated some stuff to that. I know a lot of other places around the area have. So I want to thank everybody who organized that event, people that donated stuff, and also the participants for donating their time and participating in this great event. If you can't make the event, of course, you can log on to their website. They have an option where you can donate to the group too, because like I said, they do a lot of great work. So yeah, good luck to everybody fishing out there on Sunday, and hope it's a great event. Should be a lot of fun for a great cause. On to the report. Weather this week has been warm, but lake temps have held steady. We got some rain here. What was that, Wednesday night? Um, Cooled things down, I'm sure. The Mendota buoy right now is reading 76.8 degrees, and so lake temps are holding steady generally from last week. Um, Generally around the chain, fishing's been good. Gills are being found in 10 to 20 feet of water near weeds, but also suspended out over deep water at those same depths. Perch are being found in good numbers on weed lines generally, and also just off the weeds on Mendota. Largemouth bass are being found in weedy areas around the chain. Smallmouth bass in 10 to 20 feet of water near rocks and breaks. Walleyes on mid-lake humps. Lots of pike around, and been hearing about some decent muskie reports. So good to see that action picking up a little bit. Also, lots of sheep's head continue to be caught around the chain. Up here in Cherokee, still a weedy mess up there, but folks in canoes and kayaks are having good luck with pike and largemouth bass. Great cat reports continue to come out of 113. Haven't heard much else as far as any other species being caught out there, but catfishing remains good out there. Lake Mendota, we've had perch being the main targeted species out here recently. Look for most of those fish on the weed lines, or at least start there. But then I've been hearing about fish moving out a little bit deeper now into 20, 22 feet. Even heard a report of fish out in 25 feet. So look for those fish in those areas, but hearing about great numbers of fish, all different sizes, huge clouds of fish in certain areas. So that bodes well for the future, but there's a lot of perch in the lake right now. Also been hearing about a lot of good bluegill action, mostly near the weed lines, and a lot of smaller fish in there too, which is interesting because Mendota hasn't, at least in several years, been much of a good bluegill producing lake. I mean, obviously some good size. It's known for its good size bluegills, but there's a lot of numbers out there right now, so that'll be interesting to see what the future holds there. Like I mentioned earlier, smallmouth bass on breaks and rocks, mid-lake humps for walleyes and smallmouth, so Dunn's Bar, Second Point, Commodore, Brearley bars have been producing walleyes along the city shoreline, and some perch down here from some of the shore folks. Been hearing about some good perch and bluegills in University Bay. So lots of good opportunities out there to be had on Lake Mendota. Tenney Park continues to produce a lot of good mixed bag out here from the breakwall. I haven't heard much gar lately. They were catching gar there for a while, but the sheep's head bite continues to be pretty strong. The Lock and Dam here has been producing some good fish, and still good bass numbers in the river itself. Tenney Park Lagoon has also been producing some good bass, topwater being a good option in there. On to Mendota, we've been hearing about good bluegill action all around the lake. You can find those fish in their normal shallow spots and along weeds, but most of the action I've been hearing about is out deep. So out over anywhere from 30 to 70 feet of water. Those fish are suspended out over that deep water. Look from 15 to 20 feet down. And if it's not too windy, it's a real comfortable way to fish. Just drift along anywhere out over the deep water and let your line down there in that 15 to 20 foot range, and you'll likely run into some gills. I've been hearing about good gills off the wall over here at Monona Terrace. Also, some good crappies coming out of there, and a few reports of some pike and muskie out of this area too. Good gills and crappies out of the Triangle and the Monona Bay here. Also some good bluegill action in there, so that's nice to see that picking up. Winger has been the same as it is basically year round. Tiny bluegills, some good largemouth bass in there, and some good musky action, but some of those fish tend to be running a little smaller. I have been hearing a couple of reports of some good musky action coming out of the south end of the lake here, but also some good panfish off Olin Park and down in the Squaw and Turville Bay areas. Down here, I haven't heard much specifically coming out of Mud Lake, but I imagine the dredge hole continues to be a productive spot up here, and then all the shallow weeds, great locations to look for largemouth bass. The trestles here continue to produce some good mixed bag of fish. Never know what you'll get in there. Wabisa's basically the same as Monona and the other lakes. Look for fish. Bluegills 15 to 20 feet down along the weeds. I've also heard about some good perch mixed in with those fish occasionally. We have some reports of some walleyes trolling out from Babcock, jigging off of the Hog Island area. But again, the rest of the lake, if you can find a weed edge, you'll likely find fish. We haven't heard much out of the south end here, but same thing, weed lines. The rock hump out here is a good option. I did hear some good reports on Wabisa from the Muskie folks. The Muskie League folks were out on Wabisa this last week, and I heard boated several good muskies, so that's good to hear. Down on Kegonsa, haven't heard a ton coming out of Kegonsa, but look for fish along the weed lines and 15 to 20 feet of water, same as the other lakes. And the white bass bite down there seems to have slowed too. I did hear one report of some walleyes out from the state park too. So I guess that's it for the chain around town here. Koshkonong continues to produce some good fish trolling all around the lake, but good areas to target are the mouth of the Rock River up here. Indian Ford, I've been hearing about some cats down there and a little bit of white bass action. Up here near Fort, I've been hearing about some good white bass and catfish action in there between Jefferson and Fort. Over on the Wisconsin River, we've had, of course, the usual good reports of a mixed bag of fish up at the Prairie du Sac Dam, and downstream, anywhere there's current, anywhere there's wood and corners and deep water, backside of sandbars, all are producing good smallmouth and some walleyes in there. So those areas are worth a look if you're floating down the river. Canoeing and that is really popular this time of year. So lots of good opportunities for fishing there. Haven't heard a ton coming out of Lake Wisconsin. Of course, there's that Fishing for Families event up there this Sunday, but I have heard of some good action from walleye folks trolling. Flicker shads and crawler harnesses continue to be effective. Haven't heard a lot from panfish folks in the bays and off the grade, but I'm sure there's fish to be caught out there. Heard about some good smallmouth action floating the river between Portage and the Dells. Some good action to be had in that area. Up to Castle Rock, same thing with Castle Rock and Pettenwell dams. Good mixed bags coming out below the dams. I talked to a guy who put in at the dam up here and then floated down all the way down to Portage, he said, and had some great smallmouth action down through there. And it was a nice float for him. Sandbars are plentiful with low water this time of year. Same thing at the Pettenwell Dam, good mixed bag. I've been hearing complaints about some weeds being a problem up here in Pettenwell. Apparently low lake levels bring the weeds up pretty bad there, but still hearing about good walleyes Jigging in the mornings and the evening, low light hours, and then some good action, mixed bag action, trolling in the evenings. Over to the Mississippi, I haven't heard a ton coming out of there. I did hear a couple reports of some good walleyes, crawler harnesses being effective, um, bluegills on in the rocks actually around wing dams mixed in with smallmouth, crappies in deep wood right in the main lake or main river, and a lot of sturgeon being caught all throughout the river from what I hear, especially the dam areas. But there have been some good action up there for sturgeon if you're into that. Over to Milwaukee, I heard the salmon bite is starting to pick up for folks in the harbors. So Racine and Milwaukee, Oak Creek areas have all been productive. The salmon are starting to move back into the harbors now, getting ready for their fall migration, which is hard to believe. We're saying fall already, but here we are. It's August, so it won't be long. September, those fish will be in the harbors pretty thick and available to the shore folks again. And then, of course, they move up the rivers there late September into October. So that's always an exciting time. I have heard a couple good reports from the Milwaukee folks on the Milwaukee River, getting some good action on smallmouth. Um, Other than that, I haven't heard much else for warm water species. Trout fishing around the area continues to be good. I didn't hear a lot of action with the heat this week. It's just not comfortable with the long grass. Parsnip is starting to go away, which is nice, but you still got to contend with some nettles, and the long grass really makes things uncomfortable if it's over, say, 80 degrees. But you find a pastured area can be comfortable fishing, but do watch those temps. This weekend's supposed to be pretty warm, so let's be careful with those trout if the water gets up above 67 degrees. It's not good for the fish. But I have heard good reports on beetles. Not so much on ants anymore for whatever reason, but beetles have been hot, and small hopper patterns have been good. Look for maybe using green hoppers. The hoppers are still a little small, and they tend to look a little green this time of year, but here in a few more weeks they'll start to get bigger and turn into that kind of tan color with a yellow belly. Can be a really effective pattern for terrestrials around the chain or around the area. I guess that's about it for the report. I hope everyone posts their comments and pictures below, and thanks for tuning in. Good luck again to everybody doing the Fishing for Families event this weekend. And if you want any further information, feel free to call the shop here. Happy to give you a little more details on any questions you might have. Otherwise, good luck out there this week, and thanks for tuning in. Take care.